3, 2, 1. Hi, and welcome to yet another episode. This is episode number 12. I'm still alive, I'm still here. 12 episodes. It has been very painful to not miss any Monday. As I told you last time, I almost miss all Mondays, but in the end, I miss none of the Mondays. So, how that happens is a painful secret of dedication, which is one of the few things I'm proud of. Doing this podcast on time, 12 episodes. It's a significant number, 12. The clock only has 12 numbers and it does a great job. 12 is a dozen. So I've done a dozen episodes. This sounds good. They sound like a lot more. The year has 12 months and Hercules did 12 labors as well, which is a weird thing in English. They're called labors, these 12 things he did. It's like these very difficult tasks he had to do. In Greek, it's called athlos. Athlos comes from, is the origin from athlete. What an athlete does is an athlos. It's something that's difficult to pull through, physically demanding, a difficult task. So, before I tell you what Hercules did, these 12 athletes, these 12 labors, which basically was to kill a bunch of crazy animals, to kill a bunch of crazy mystical creatures. Do you know? And I don't know how we got here, but now here we are. We are in Hercules and his 12 labors that he is famous of. Do you know why he did them? Do you know why he did these 12 labors, these 12 athlus? Was he like Odysseus? Odyssey, Homer wrote the Odyssey, which was trying to go for a war to take over Eleni, who had married the other dude, and this whole love caused a war. Why did he go and kill these 12 things? The thing that made him famous, and the answer is it was a punishment. It was a punishment for killing. I don't know if you're ready for this. Hercules killed his wife. I am ashamed to say I didn't know. Hercules killed his wife and his children. That is right. That is right. I know it's still early, but Hercules killed his wife and children in a fit of madness. In a fit of madness. Like it can just happen. This is why he then went to do all of these crazy labors. So apparently, the punishment for someone killing his entire fighting family was to send him to keep killing more things. And I looked up a little bit. He had to kill, the male lion, a huge lion that was unkillable. You couldn't penetrate the skin. So he choked it. That's kind of smart. And then he used the nails of that lion to take the skin off. That's also kind of smart. And he killed the Lernea Hydra, the one that he would cut off a head and two more heads would come. He killed a huge boar and a snake like a deer from a goddess Artemis. So he was just going around killing a bunch of animals. This is basically what was going on. And it reminded me also this story. It's so much like a video game. Like you fucked up, you have no control over whatever happened. Now you need to make it right. And they tell you, hey, there is this crazy creature that is causing chaos and misery in that village. You need to do something about it. This is how every role playing game starts. Go on a quest and you kill the thing, and you go back, and guess what? There's someone else that says, right after they tell you, thank you, our village is free, someone comes and says, oh no, other village is now being terrorized by a huge bear. And then you need to go kill the bear. And this is how it goes on and on. Every time you are. It looked like The Witcher, the video game The Witcher. Every time you were done, someone would come and say, take you to your next quest. Anyway, weird intro, I know. Let's get started. So, remember how last episode I said my battle with allergies is just starting now and how I'm very ready for it? Well, guess what? I was ready for it. And I don't know how you hear me, but besides still having a shitty laptop, I also now have one less nostril. My other nostril is very busy protesting against nature's orgies. I made an episode on allergies. I think it was episode number 6. It has a yellow background of a lot of flowers, and I talked a bit about it there. I've been doing this immunization therapy that, the concept is, and I had no idea, that it introduces you slowly to the thing you are allergic to. So it's like I have two sprays that are made for me, and they have a tiny bit of what I'm allergic to, and I need to every morning do it, keep it underneath my tongue for some time, and it gets me a little bit irritated, but just enough so my body slowly gets used to it. But now I'm at the fountain, I'm in the countryside, I'm in the Greek village here to make Easter, and it's right on time where everything is blooming. Yes. Did I stop doing my morning treatment? No, I am not stopping. I throw my little sprays in there, and then the rest of the day comes, and it feels like I'm bathing in whatever it is I'm allergic to. I sniff it all day. So, yeah, the nights can be tough, but I don't stop. So, me and my one nostril are giving this podcast a go. And also know that I'm going to do very little editing on this one because it is stupidly late. And I did a lot of things today, but preparing for this podcast was not one of them until very, very late. So apologies if it gets a little bit choppy. I think I'll do a few discounts in my editing time, but of course, no discounts in the quality of content. Speaking of, let's change the subject into the first thing I wanted to bring. Let's say that all of that was a big intro before. Remember how, on episode 9, I brought you an update about an AI algorithm situation that could read the burnt papyrus, the burnt papyri, the burnt paparia. I don't know how to pronounce it, but the burnt scrolls in Pompeii. They're called the Herculaneum papyri or scrolls, and when the Pompeii was buried in ashes, the Vesuvius, the mountain, just exploded, lava goes everywhere, and the lava burned these scrolls in a library of a general's house or something, but it burned them in a way that it preserved them. We could not unfold them because they're too fragile, yada yada yada. Technology came so many years later, thousands of years, and now we can read them by scanning them and virtually unfolding them. Okay? This is what the podcast was saying. Voila, voila, there is actually an update coming from those papyrus, from these scrolls, and research center in Italy that is doing all of that work said, hey, yo, rest of the world, we know where the exact spot that Plato was buried is. And that is quite a statement to know where Plato is buried. And Plato uh, is one of the most influential philosophers of ancient Greece. He was born almost half uh, a millennia BC, before Mr. Jesus, so 2.5k years ago. He was a student of Socrates. Socrates is also quite a famous dude. Yeah. So Plato founded the academy, which is considered one of the earliest institutions of higher learning in the Western world. It was a center of philosophical and scientific research, and his philosophy works covers many areas, mostly known for ethics. He wondered what the fuck is ethics, what makes a good person, and politics and metaphysics and even aesthetics. And yeah, he wrote dialogues featuring Socrates discussing various philosophical questions. talking about concepts like what the fuck is justice, what is truth, what is beauty, what is an ideal state. Yeah, it's pretty groundbreaking to think how long ago people had the same existential questions that we are facing today, and they were the first ones to come with some of these concepts that have influenced so much the Western world. Anyway, well, that was his work, but what about his death? Even ChatGPT, if I have a look, it says that he died in 347 BC. Why should you know that? You shouldn't. The circumstances of his death are not super clear, but he likely died in Athens or near Athens. Thank you, ChatGPT. $1 trillion algorithm probably died in Athens. Here we have the Herculaneum scrolls that say that he is buried close to the academy, close to in a garden, close to the Muses um, temple, and they don't say exactly where, but honestly, this could be because it's not the safest thing to just announce where that is, but it does give an approximate location. So my point was not to necessarily tell you that now we know where Plato might have been buried. Of course, that's amazing. It's also to tell you, look at these cool concepts I bring in this podcast. 3, 4 episodes ago, we just talked about the crazy developments in technology that are allowing these scrolls to be read for the first time in 2.5 thousand years. And now there is an article giving a crazy discovery made because of that. So that's cool. Good podcast, good quality news, good podcast, good quality news. In other news, last week we had dust in Greece, lots of dust. A lot of Europe had also that dust, but Greece, we're a bit down, we're a bit south. And I'm currently in the southern part of Greece, so Jesus Christ, it's also near his not birthday, I guess, the resurrection, but uh, yeah, Jesus, the amount of dust, everything turned red. We lived the full-on Mad Max experience. It was all over the news. Everyone was taking photos for their Instagram stories. I get so annoyed when I see the trend that everyone has something to do with it, and I'm thinking, okay, I will not be a plus one making my own take out of this. But then I think in many, many, many years from now, people will be looking back at their digital memories thinking, ooh, that's when the dust time was. And maybe I have nothing there. Maybe the algorithms that are scraping my data and are able to create a beautiful video of my life go on my socials and see nothing there. But point being, dust everywhere. Uh, and it comes from North Africa. It comes with the winds and it travels from the Sahara. It's from it's actual Sahara dust to Europe. And some people found it wild. They said there is no way that the Sahara desert can just take a wind taxi and come all the way to Europe. They were looking for conspiracy theories or of what it could be that is bringing the dust. Yeah, they just found it very impossible that the wind can carry dust through the Mediterranean from Africa to Europe. And I find it so ridiculous, and I hope you too. Everything is perspective. Like I would like to tell these people, hey, imagine ants. Do you know ants? These small tiny things walking. Imagine how everything must feel impossible for them in terms of scale. If an ant could see me throwing a rock far away, then from the ant's perspective, I'm probably throwing the rock from what would be our Oslo in Norway and all the way down to Barcelona in Spain. Yes, stop thinking you are the center of the world. You're just a tiny little thing, dear human non-believer friend. And yes, the wind can take the Sahara dust and bring it to Europe. It's really good for Instagram. It's pretty bad for our health as it contains many heavy particles that can stick in your lungs and they make allergies worse. and they make your immune system a bit down. And if you have respiratory problems, then you're gonna have more respiratory problems. So, yeah. But you know what? This dust coming from Sahara, that is not even the longest trip it's making. Do you know that the Sahara sand and dust actually gets carried all over the bloody Atlantic Ocean and into the Amazon rainforest? This is a really, really good wiki. If you didn't know, now you know. If you don't believe me, you can Google it. It's a very beautiful thing. There is also nowadays a nice visualization showing how the particles get transferred. But basically, you can go and read how the Sahara feeds and sustains the Amazon rainforest. So, yes, thank you, Earth. We see more and more how everything is connected, and it comes from a place from us humans, the ones that are messing with stuff everywhere. Yes, everything is connected. We mess with stuff, we're gonna get wrecked. So to try and start summing things up, because I'm sneezing quite aggressively. The more you sneeze, the worse it gets, because sneezing actually irritates your receptors and your nose, so then it's getting even more irritated. But yeah, I saw Baby Reindeer on Netflix. I guess by now everyone has seen it, or not, or not. I don't judge. I've been one of these people that had zero free time for weeks in a row, and series were going out and people were watching them. I was getting the FOMO of my life. So if you wanted to see Baby Reindeer and you haven't seen it yet because of time, I feel for you. I respect you. And I hope you can soon get some of that time where you can sit down, not have to worry about a thing, and just watch something. Not have to worry about a thing for 30 minutes. And yeah, I really, really liked it. I started consuming it quite, I don't like reading or seeing something um, in advance. Like I don't like to see trailers or to get to know. I get bits and pieces from different groups I'm part of on Facebook or from an article that might pop in front of me. But I don't like to get a lot of info before actually watching something. So it hits me raw as much as possible, have no expectations, dive straight in. This is what I did with these series. To my shame, I didn't realize that it's based on a real story until some episodes in, which made it even more impressive. My brain had to go back and think of all of the different scenes and put that into perspective that it's based on a real story. And then that happened somewhere midway in the series. And then close to the end of the series, I realized that the dude starring the series is also the one who wrote it. So the main actor is not only the main actor, he's also the one who wrote it. And do you know what that means? Because that is already a big deal, someone writing and starring at the thing. Well, he's also the person who this happened to. So the real story that this is about, he was the person that went through that, and then he wrote about it, and then he made a movie about it, and he's starring in that movie. And let me tell you, he's acting really, really well. The whole series, I think, has really good acting. So I cannot imagine how it is going through uh, the series like that. I guess you need to have worked on your trauma quite a lot, or probably writing it was part of working through it. But yes, it's the story of someone encountering an intense stalker, and it's showing some of that and the dynamic there. But it doesn't do it from a purely predatory, evil stalker that is just portrayed as the ultimate villain. It gets you quite mixed up uh, as it goes, and the character development is also, it just keeps on giving, and layers are added, diving a bit more deeper into things. There's a lot of dark humor. a comedy and a lot of drama, a lot of probably difficult scenes to watch. Also a bit of swaying. You see the perspectives of victims and the stalker, and it's done in a human way. There's a lot of empathy, but also a lot of, yeah, you fluctuate a lot inside of you, I think, when you see it. But yeah, it has a lot of there's a psychosomatic violence portrayed, and even though it's never brutal to watch, it's brutal to receive. So the imagery is not gruesome or cruel, but it doesn't have to be. It's the act of what's happening that is damaging. So it focuses on the impact it has on the receivers and not necessarily on a lot of details. Anyway, very, very interesting. I also started watching Replay, which I think these are the two must shows of the time, at least in Netflix, Replay and Baby Reindeer. Replay looks really, really nice. We watch it over dinner sometimes, and I like the slow pace. I like the beautiful photography. I like that I am seeing something that's only black and white. I get very annoyed by it, and then I need to accept it. And somehow that does something to me. I appreciate that it makes me do that. And both of these two series, they're quite captivating, which in the world of limited attention span and attention deficit disorders or whatever it is we are experiencing in this need to multitask, one of the ways that I realize I enjoy a movie or a series, or that I respect it and it gets a place into things I might recommend, one of the signals for me is that I don't multitask. I don't get the need to distract myself, which I get very, very often. So in both of these, they have me there. I'm watching them, single focus, and that says something. But okay, so to wrap it up, I'll give you a little bit of the Easter updates. Things are moving with a speed of light here. There will be almost 30 people in total for this Easter Pascha feast that we are preparing in the summer house. It's a pretty old house here, so most of the things don't work. There has never been an Easter for 20 years. So everything is rusty. The grills, the motors are not spinning. We don't have chairs or tables or space or shadow. So yeah, this is what takes most of my time trying to get everything ready for that and for hosting some people. And yeah, in terms of numbers, Greek Easter, we put a whole lamb and we roast it. And I have to tell you, we're trying to calculate how much meat we need with a cousin of mine who knows how to roast, and he's taking that role. Thank God for that. So we went around asking the number of people we have and how we should get how many kilos of lamb, how many kilos of different types of meat that get roasted. And that was a very funny one because he would ask every old person we found on the street in this tiny town because he knows everyone. And some of them have a reputation of making good feasts or being good eaters. Yeah, we crowdsourced the best combination of what meat to buy, and there was a very clear. Everyone was converging into the same proposal, more or less. So that's happening. It's 16 kilos of lamb, almost 10 kilos of kodoshuvli, and the kokoretsi. And if you don't know what the kodoshuvli is and the kokoretsi, then you can Google Greek Pascha and get there. But basically, it's meat, a lot of meat in different ways, seasoned, pierced through a stick. There are some intestines involved in some of these things. And yeah, in terms of numbers, 40 kilos of coal. That's a lot of coal. I'm getting ready. You know, I will absorb like a sponge every bit of knowledge from this cousin of mine. My dad doesn't know how to do grills and roasting and anything like that. And being able to perform the Pascha roasting is like the ultimate level of roasting. So I will be at his side like a hungry apprentice taking notes in the hopes of one day being myself the a griller. Now I'm the sous chef, an aspiring sous chef. But yeah, lately we also realized we need a big cover from the sun in where we plan to do it. So this was one of the things trying to solve for. I found a tent fabric and we bought quite a lot of that. It's about 40 square meters. So I spent most of the evening and night today tying that in the right places. So now it's there, but there is no wind at all today. And the question is what happens when there is a lot of wind? We'll see if it flies off. Tomorrow will be the day that shows that. Okay, I will share the most wild thing that happened to me here in the summer house. And this is, I was working right next to the window. And let me tell you, snakes, I don't know how common snakes are where you are. I really dislike snakes. I've seen snakes in some of my travels. And here, they are not very common, but they can still make appearances. There is one that is a viper that's very dangerous, and a lot that look scary but are not. So sometimes you see them in the middle of the street, on the road, when it's warm, they like the asphalt. Yeah, yeah. So imagine my surprise, horror, when I saw next to me on the window, on the second floor of this house, a 3-meter snake climbing up the railing. It had wrapped itself around the railing and it was moving forward in the balcony. I freaked so much, I missed my next meeting. I simply wrote, I cannot join this meeting. There's an emergency or something of that sort. And I went on the balcony observing because I was very afraid it could come in. I have some of the most wild videos of close up to snakes you can imagine. I sent it to my family group and I asked, is this shit venomous? Is this shit dangerous? Because if it is, we may have to do a battle here if this thing tries to come in the house. And also, as it's making its way through the railing, it would also be looking up. It would stand like somebody's playing a flute music to it or whatever, and then continue. So this was also the day of the African dust peak. So it really felt like an out-of-world experience. Everything was red, post-apocalyptic. The skies were open, and this huge snake was a few meters away from me, coming closely. I just expected that the sky will open and grasshoppers will start raining from the skies to eat all the crops or whatever, because it felt like the plagues of Egypt. And basically, the snake found its way through the water. How do you call that? The water drainage, and went upwards. And it went on the roof. Why? Because in our house here in the nature, in the roof we have tiles, and in the openings of the tiles, the front part of the tiles are open, the birds make their nests. So yes, this is macabre, I know, but it's also life. This snake worked for it. This snake, from the ground, realized that if it climbs somehow, if it somehow can make it on the roof, there's a lot of food there. So, second floor, through the railing, then the water gutter, then it got up, and it started going door to door as the bird eating the eggs and the nests. And the birds were going nuts. It was a very sad feeling. They were coming with little crickets in their mouths or little worms. And before landing, they would see the snake and just freak the fuck out, sit somewhere and observe what's happening. And the snake The snake didn't care. It would go door to door as the birds turned into horror. Imagine that with red skies everywhere, red atmosphere. It felt like the end of times. And I saw it for, by the way, it was not a poisonous snake. I got info from my sister's boyfriend who knows. So this is one of the biggest snakes that can be found in Greece. It can reach up to 2+ meters in length. This thing was 2 meters when it was wrapped around. I think it was a I think it was a 3 meter snake. And yeah, they eat small things, frogs, and they can also eat eggs, and they're really good climbers, and that one was showing it. So it was very painful. I had to work while watching it because I couldn't not be there in all of my meetings. Every now and then, I will keep an eye with a snake on the roof. It felt like Snakes on the Plane, the movie. And then I just decided, okay, I will let nature do its thing. But after some time, it honestly went through all of the front tiles and then it started going on the side ones. And that's just a lot of eating. And I felt nature was doing its thing for too long. So I did try to intervene. I tried to get the snake down. It sounds brave. I think it was. Did it look brave? I think it looked pathetic. But I went there with a broom and I tried to get this snake wrapped and like take it down. But the snake was refusing. I could only get one end of it out. So it was just hanging from the tiles, looking at me. At some point, it literally was hanging 1.5 meters down, and with its head, it just started looking at me. And I felt it was saying, okay, now what the fuck do you want? Just let me do my thing. Um, yeah, and this is how this story ends. At some point, I decided, okay, Mr. Snake, leave on the roof now. I hope you don't come in the house. I don't think it has a reason to. These snakes are pretty smart and they know what they're doing. It tried to go all the way to the roof already to eat the birds. I don't think it has any interest in getting in. But yeah, where is the snake now? I don't know. Do I look at the tiles every day all around? I do. I want to hope that it was smart enough to eat, rest, digest, and then get the fuck away. And yeah, this has been it. I will end it here. I hope you have a great rest of the week, whether you're doing an Easter or whether you had Easter. I hope you keep enjoying this podcast, 1 dozen episodes in. Thank you for being still here. Now, if you like it, if you enjoy hearing these thoughts and stories and wikis, there is only one way for this podcast to grow, and that is for you to like it, subscribe it, and maybe share it. I have no other way to make this podcast reach more people. You don't need to post it. Fuck social media. You can just say to a good friend, hey, do you listen to podcasts? I have something that is not horrible. It's bad sometimes. Sometimes it's good or whatever that is. And maybe one day I will, maybe I don't have to work. I can just tell you stories every day, and that's it. Okay, until then, ciao. Delete.